I have been suspicious for quite a long time now, months, and have been quietly investigating on my own. Been seeing changes in behavior, an uptick in phone usage, and have felt more distance coming from him. Every once in a while, I have gotten a gut feeling that he had been with someone that day. A few times he was smelled different coming home. Slight distant in behavior, almost like he doesn't want to get too close to me, and acting a bit nervous. All this has triggered me into snooping through his phone when he leaves it around and when he's sleeping. I've come across a few apps that I have learned is frequently used by people who cheat to communicate with apps. I also come across his secret Reddit account and his activity on an adultery sub this weekend, and I was finally able to confirm that he is actively cheating on me. So I'm fucking at it, and I don't know what to do. He doesn't know that I know, and it has taken everything into me to try to act normal in front of him and the kids. I have confided in one friend because I just don't know how to handle this, and I can barely stop him shaking all weekend. She told me to do more investigation to see if I can find out who the APs is before I confront him. I never thought I would be here, contemplating divorce, what will happen to my kids, losing all of our life plans. Like, what the fuck? I don't fucking deserve this. All I can think of this is, what a fucking waste. He's ruined everything. So, little update. Hi everyone. I first want to thank you all of you for your advice and support. I'm not someone who like to post or air my personal struggles, but in a very real moment of an anxiety, panic, sadness, and a bit of wine, I made this post. And I'm so glad I did it. It makes me sad to think of all of you have gone through this type of betrayal, and at the same time has made me feel less alone. I spoke to an attorney today. We are in a no-fault state, so infidelity wouldn't impact it worse. But if it comes to a custody battle, the details of the infidelity might be helpful. I'm grateful the attorney has an opening tomorrow, although I don't think I'm quite ready to make any sound decisions. His next opening is for 3 weeks, and I want to do as much research done as possible before I confront my husband. And I don't want to wait 3 weeks for the confrontation. So, tomorrow it is. The one friend I've confronted was able to get me an IT specialist who is a family member of hers. He met with me this morning, and he was able to retrieve a lot of helpful information, including AP's identity. I will wait until after I meet with the attorney to decide how to handle AP. I feel like everything is moving very fast, but at the same time not fast enough, as I know I need to gather all the information and get my ducks in a row before my husband is tip off, but also just want to get this confrontation over with. So, thank you all again. This morning, I met my attorney for over 2 hours. Yesterday, he had sent me a ton of paperwork and a list of things to bring. Basically, all of our financials. I felt prepared. Meeting with him put me a bit more at ease. As far as my own financial future goes with was a huge concern. We live in a no-fault state, which means infidelity won't have bearing in the event of a divorce. However, if there is a custody battle, which I don't see happening, details of the affair could be useful. I asked my attorney if it will be appropriate to contact AP's husband, and he gave me the green light to do so. Right after my meeting with my attorney, I called AP's husband. It was a short phone call, letting him know about the relationship between our spouses and that my husband is unaware of my knowledge of the relationship. He asked to call me back, and shortly after he texted me asking to meet with me in person this afternoon. He assured me he will not tell his wife I had contacted him. Well, I just left our meeting. I'm sitting in the car feeling a sense of relief, but also dread. AP's husband has been suspicious for months. They live a few towns over, and we live about an hour away from a major city. My husband spends a great deal of the work week in the city. In fact, we have an apartment there so he can avoid the long commute for home during the week when meetings run late and he has work dinners. The husband says AP had been spending a lot more overnights during the week than was typical in the past few months for work. She had been on her phone a lot more frequently and had become protective of her phone. He saw a flirty text over her shoulder at one point and accused her of cheating. About 2 months ago, she had excuses. He let it go. The majority of their meetups were at our apartment. I told him their message exchanges provide this. A few of my favorites were from her. I wonder if your wife will smell me on her sheets. I hope she does. Was sent when my husband told her on a planned weekend in the city with me and my kids. Is it wrong that I think of the apartment as our apartment, home, just me and you and our little love nest? An apartment. I own half of BTW. I gave AP's husband a thumb drive of all of the evidence I had discovered. There is a lot. And a very detailed speech sheet of every meetup, dinner, gift, hotel visit, etc., etc., etc. My husband will be very proud of that. He's a spreadsheet guy. Hope so asked me to wait a few days to confront my husband to do his own investigating. I gave him the info of my new best friends forever, IT expert, and my divorce attorney. He mentioned looking into getting one. One thing I should add, this man is extremely good looking and very in shape. My husband is a good looking guy too, but I take care of himself, but this guy was really something. I don't know why that surprised me. He was also very kind and sympathetic, which I was relieved about because I was wary of the response I will receive. The plan is to keep in touch so that we can confront both of them at the same time, separately of course. So, spoke to OBS today regarding evidence found and logistic of confrontation. OBS had said at our meeting that he was going straight to divorce. Reviewing the evidence, I proved to him and his own investigation eliminated any little doubts he has about divorce. My husband has been in the city for work since Monday, and he comes home tomorrow. OBS and I are both confronting our spouses tomorrow night, at the same time but separately. A question that OBS had asked me was, what was the one day time that bothered me the most? He said for him it was when AP said she was away in LA for work. Their son is asthmatic and had the flu while she was supposedly in LA, and he was in the ER for over 10 hours with his son. She was actually on the city with my husband just 1 hour away. It obviously wouldn't be blown her cover to come home, and OCB said he was blown away that covering up her own lies with were more than being there for their son. For me, I think it was when he had planned a 3-day tour, my son's top choice of colleges, and explored the city of that college. This has been planned out for a few months, but a few days before the trip, my husband had a work commitment come up. In messages, I found out AP also had a work commitment unexpectedly come up. My husband chose to spend those 3 days with AP rather than spend that time having a pretty amazing experience helping our son make a choice of his future. Yes, son gets into this college and will be attending this fall. I'm nervous, wrecked for tomorrow night confrontation. Today, OBS said, "We're on the same team. We'll get through this." I hope so. So, here's a dialogue between us. Me, do you think we had a good marriage? Him, yes, of course. Why are you asking this? Me, you're happy in our marriage? You think we have a good marriage? Yes, everything is great. You're scaring me. Why are you asking this? Are you not happy? Right now, I'm not happy. I'm pretty fucking miserable right now. Okay. I thought we were happy too. Which is why I'm trying to figure out why you're cheating on me. What? Why would you say that? Because you're cheating. How can you say that? Now I'm pissed. I will never do that to you. How could you say that? You know I will never do that. I know you're cheating. Silence. Head in hands. Looking at floor. Then jumps off the couch and storms into our bedroom saying, "I need a minute." After he returns about 10 minutes later. Eyes red like he'd been crying. First thing he says is, "What do you know?" I said, "I know you've been cheating. I want you to be honest with me." He says, "I'm sorry. I'm fucking sorry." Conversation develops into me asking for details. He goes on to say it was just a fling, it's over, she meant nothing to him. It didn't last long. He doesn't know why he did it. He's sorry, he's so sorry. There were no feelings involved. Both of us were crying. I was crying a lot. At one point I said, "I must have done something really terrible to you for you to do this." He says, "You've done nothing. It wasn't about you." Me, what was it about? I don't understand. We have this beautiful life. There has to be a reason. And I don't want to hear that you don't know why you did this. And this is what he said, which I can't wrap my head around. Everything with us was great. It's always been great. But I started getting attention from her and it just happened. I started thinking about the monetary of our life. There are no highs and lows. It just felt exciting and I guess. And once I had started, I wasn't able to stop. It was like the adrenaline took over. My response was, "Let me get this straight. You start fucking someone else, sneaking around, lying, blow up our entire life because we were too happy?" He admitted it sounded stupid saying it out loud, but it's just how he felt. I asked who she is. He wouldn't answer. He said she has a husband and kids, and he didn't want to wreck that. What about our marriage? Me? Our kids? It says so much that you are choosing to protect her and her family over us. He said it's not like that. At this point, I told him he had to leave, which he resisted at first, but I was literally breaking down and so upset, and I told him I couldn't be around him. So he packed up, coming to me every few minutes to check on me and say, "I'm sorry." My brother showed up as he was packing. I told him I already have a divorce attorney working on things, that he needed to get an attorney. This shocked him. "You can't just decide on your own, we are done. We have to talk about this. We can work through this. There's the kids to think about." My only response was, "Seems to me you and AP's name already decided this for us. Don't worry. She's having just as shitty of a night as you are." This made my brothers laugh, and my STBX looked surprised at the mention of AP's name. My oldest brother walked out with him, and I saw them arguing out in the driveway. Then he left. I spoke to OBS briefly last night, and again this morning. This has gotten long, so I will do a short update in another update post maybe tomorrow. But as a mini update, AP is at the hotel right now. This morning we talked with the kids. Anonymous or not, I'm not going to get too detailed about the discussion to protect my kids' privacy. I feel it's unfair to dive too deeply here about their most vulnerable moments. Kids ages 14, 16, 17, almost 18. Before I had spoken to SCBX about this talk, telling him the information my therapist gave to me on the healthiest way to approach it. I told him that he should be the one doing the talking because, well, we all know why. He didn't want to have this talk. Felt like it was too soon. And what if we work things out, it will just confuse them and get them upset for nothing. Then I explained that 1, they will know something is up because he will no longer be living with us. 2, the only thing to work out going further is a co-parenting plan. He tried to engage in discussion about us. I declined the offer and kept it about the game plan on the conversation about the kids. Sat down with the kids when they come home from my sister's house. My STBX started the discussion using the very vague explanation the therapist suggested. "We are having problems. Can find a resolution to these problems and think it's the best for Dad to move out for a while so it doesn't affect the kids. There won't be a lot of difference in our home life since Dad spends much of the week in the city, and Dad will be able to spend time with them on weekends." Silence from all 3 kids. Oldest: "You're cheating on Mom, aren't you?" Other 2 argued and, "Stop, he would never do that." Arguing among the 3 kids. STBX says not one thing, nothing. Ask them to calm down so we can talk. Oldest: "Everything been fine. We know you been not getting along. You're cheating, aren't you? It has to be that." STBX is silent. Won't say a thing. Me to ask. "You have to tell them." Silence. Me to kids. Yes. All 3 start yelling and crying. "How could you do that? Why would you do this? Are you getting it worse?" Lots of yelling and crying. "I hate you," on and on and on. STBX: "I know you're all upset. You have a right to be. I've let you down, But this has nothing to do with you. It's between me and Mom. I think he might have said this as a way to let them know this is their fault, but it's backfired. How can you say it has nothing to do with us? It has everything to do with us. My oldest called him a hypocrite, always telling us to respect women, but how to treat my girlfriend. And you're fucking around on Mom. There was a lot more conversation, mostly the kids saying things in anger, and STBX apologizing. When things calmed down, I told him that they can go to my brother's house. Then I needed to talk to Dad privately. All my brothers and my sisters and spouses had gathered at my brother's house, knowing I was telling the kids and thinking having their cousins around afterwards might be support for them. Before they leave, my eldest says, "Mom, he's not staying here, right? Like, he's not coming back here, right? I mean, there's no coming back from this. You know that, right?" Once kids left, I told him he should pack more stuff while we are all done. He said, "Don't you want to talk?" I said, "What else is there to say? I am freaking traumatized having to see it and watch the kids go through that. Now, are you thinking of the consequences? Are the freaking laws worth it?" I told him to text me when he's gone, so I know he wouldn't be there when we go back. Hello all, I'm sorry for my delayed update. It's been a roller coaster ride of so many emotions to deal with. Emotions of my own, my kids, and some family. My mother and father-in-law returned from vacation last week, and they're having a really hard time with it all. My soon-to-be ex and his siblings sat down with them to break the news, and they're devastated. My mother-in-law had called me every day to be a separate system, but the conversation usually turns into her saying, "I don't raise him to be this way," and crying. My father-in-law tried to talk me into a reconciliation for the kids. I know he's coming from a genuine place as they are both very worried about the kids, so I'm trying to be patient with him. He's very disappointed in my soon-to-be ex and has had to put a pause on our conversation because he's brought to tears. The kids have started therapy. They have opted for group sessions together. Their therapist has encouraged this approach, as he says it will help in their healing process to learn to be a healthy support system to each other. Reconciliation with their father will be a long process and might look differently to each of the kids. Group sessions will help each of them to accept each of their individual journey towards reconciliation with their father, so it will not damage the sibling relationship. My soon-to-be ex and I had our first proper conversation about the affair and our separation divorce. He still wants reconciliation, I do not. Something I asked him was, if roles were reversed, will you forgive me? We both know he wouldn't. His response was, "You're a better person than I am." Basically, he was expecting that if he were to get caught, I will give him a chance to reconcile. He never thought I will decide to divorce. I said, "You have higher expectations for me than you do for yourself. Do you think that fair?" I had a session with my therapist since our talk. Maybe some of you might have insight on this. My therapist said, what my STBX said is very common in VPs. They don't think the relationship will end without being given the opportunity for reconciliation. They feel entitled to reconciliation because they spend so much time using blaming their BS to excuse their infidelity. Has anyone else experienced this? Last week there were an array of emotions. Anger, sadness, grief, anger. The last few days, I felt attached. Many people have asked for updates on LBS. I feel like he's much further along in this crazy process than I am, probably because he had suspected his wife's infidelity for a number of years. AP is staying with her sister. As far as I know, there has been no contact between her and my soon-to-be ex. OBS says AP is angry at STBX because she thought they would be together. She threw that in OBS' face when he confronted her, and now she has egg on her face. I have shown OBS all of my posts and all of your words of support and advice. I felt it was only fair he knew I was posting our business. I'm trying to talk him into joining Reddit if only to pursue the support subs, as I found them so helpful. He says he's not a social media guy, but he will think about it. Thank you all so much for your advice and support. I know I've been absent and so many of you have commented and sent me messages to check in on me. Having these outlets available has been such comfort for me. I can't properly express how much. So, very early this morning, I woke up to an Instagram message sent to me in the middle of the night from AP, from a fake Instagram account. I have her blocked on all social media. Hi, it's AP. Just so you know, I'm not the only one. Ask him about Megan. I've got a feeling he's been lying to both of us and felt you deserve to know. Huh, how nice of AP. After screwing my husband for 7 months to suddenly think of my feelings. Screenshotted. Didn't respond. Blocked account. Ironically, soon-to-be ex was stopping by at 9 a.m. as we had to go over financial information, go over our monthly budget, and him finding living arrangements locally. I called my sister, on the verge of a panic attack. Panicked, I just found this info and I'm going to see him in 2 hours. She calms me down. We try to brainstorm after who Meg can be, how to find out who she is. I sure as hell wasn't going to ask AP. My sister calms me down somewhat, tells me to confront him and record on my phone for evidence. Instead of this being a productive conversation about finances and future arrangements, it's a D-Day. 2. Soon-to-be ex comes over with coffee and bagels. How nice. We sit down in the kitchen and I ask, "So have you spoken to AP?" He says he had her blocked on everything, but she was trying to contact him at work last week and finally, on Friday, he headed out with her and told her to stop contacting him. I asked, "How about Megan?" He looks surprised. "Huh? Megan? Have you talked to her?" He starts saying he doesn't know what I'm talking about. And I just say, "You can't keep doing this to me, acting like I'm crazy. Please just tell me the truth. I'm having panic attack. Can't sleep. Just please. I know. You know I know. I need the truth." To make a long story short, Megan is a woman from this organization. He joined 5 years ago of professionals who get together to network. like get ideas on term building strategy, growth strategies, marketing. They get together 6 times a year in different destinations. My take has always been it's a bunch of yuppies using business networking as an excuse to go on extravagant vacation every other month. Affair with Megan began June 2019 and ended April 2020. He claims it ended because he felt guilty, but I think it's really ended because of the COVID shutdowns. Megan lives in a neighboring state but works in the city. At first, he swore their hookups were only on those trips, but after some pushbacks from me, he admitted they met in the city a few times. He said he's had no contact at all with her in over a year because she left the group. Wait, there's more. I asked him if there were any others, begging him, please don't make me find out on my own. Just tell me now. I can't do any more of these confrontations. He said there was one more AP, almost 5 years ago. A few months after we bought the apartment, he dated Cindy for 3 months. They had sex only a few times, and she ended it because Cindy didn't know STBS was married. She dumped him when she learned he was married. After I told him to leave, I called my sister, filled her in. She asked if I'm going to tell Megan's husband. Yeah. She says better do it soon before he warns her. Looks her up on Instagram and Facebook. Nothing. My sister is also checking. Megan must have blocked me because my sister found her right away. She found husband on Instagram. I couldn't. Guess she blocked me there too. But I was able to find his work info and work email. So I sent OBS Craig an email explaining everything. He calls me within 20 minutes of the email. Turns out he caught Megan sexting another member of that group last year, which is why she left the group. They've been an MC for a year. Craig said he knew in his gut there was more, and she gaslit him for the last year. He asked for the recording I made of STBX admitting the details, and we will be in touch. All of this happened before lunch. I'm shocked, angry, and hurt. I feel like I don't know this person anymore. So, I'm the proud mama of a high school graduate of this past weekend. This last week was full of lots of emotions. His prom was a few days before graduation too. I wish I could say I went into those special moments with a positive mindset, but I failed miserably, I fear. I think this was because when you get to those huge milestones, which aren't just milestones for your kids, but also for yourself and for your relationship, it also brings up memories of the past as well as all those plans of dreams for the future. And I've spent a lot of mind space questioning memories of the past as being valid or real because of soon-to-be ex betrayals, as well as mourning those future plans and dreams. It's odd sharing space at what should be a momentous occasion for our kids with a person who betrayed you. It's odd sitting next to you, VS, at our oldest kid's graduation, knowing without this call over us we will be high-fiving each other saying, We got one through high school, two more to go. Instead, it was anxiety and silence. It was our two other kids, often to see next to their cousins to await their father. It was both of our families getting together for the first time, who normally are pretty tight and friendly, but tense and awkward. I planned a huge barbecue for my son, lots of family and friends. Our immediate family know the reason for our separation. Our extended does not. So it felt like putting on a show in a way. The week leading into the party was a week filled with anxiety and rising thoughts. Like movies, I can't stop playing in my head of the betrayals. My oldest pulled me aside last week and told me he had been talking to his college about delaying his entrance for a year so he can stick around home and be support system to me, help me with things around the house and with his brother and sister. I told him absolutely not. He's worked his butt off for 4 years to go to this university, and he's going. It makes me so angry at my ex. So angry that his choices, his selfishness has made my kids feel responsible for me, worries about me, that they need to pick up his slack, make up for his choices. It shouldn't be that way. My ex has finally retained a divorce attorney. He's been informed by my attorney that all contacts should be made through attorneys, unless pertaining to the immediate needs to our kids, in which case communication will be made through a parenting app. Of course, my ex not happy with this. At our son's graduation, he wanted to know why can't we at least be friends. Oh my god. My response was, my friends don't fuck me over the way you did. He's still in contact with Megan, like AP2, and he continues to get together with her. He claims to have gone New York City with her. I guess he thinks I'm an idiot. Like, I don't have contact still with Craig, like her boyfriend. I have told him he wouldn't know what hits him if he attempts to bring that woman around my kids. And BTS, I have informed his parents exactly who he's been hanging out with. Call me vindictive, if you will, but anyone fucks with my kids, even their other parent, I will go full mama bear for them. He claims he will never do that. I said, yeah, there is a lot of things I thought you'd never do, but here we are. OBS1 is ahead of the game than me. He got his ex, AP1, served divorce paper at work. They used to work together at the same place she is currently employed. So when she got served, of course, some of his old colleagues reached out to him to check in. And let's just say he didn't hold back. Apparently, this put AP1 into a spiral. Well, that's it for now. For a few weeks, I thought I was doing well, somewhat on my way to move forward. But this last week, I feel like I'm back to square one in a way. Anxiety, mind-racing moves, anger, tears, it all has come crashing back. The further along I go in this new path in infidelity, the more I'm seeing my ex for who he really is. An idiot. It's such a strange experience to have the blinders removed from D-Day to see the person you've spent 2 decades with for they really are. An idiot. I can come up with more colorful description of him, but I'm trying really hard to be classy. My oldest son's 18th birthday was last week. He didn't want anything big, so I put together a barbecue pool party for close family, including his aunts, uncles, cousins, and grandparents, and ex. He made plans with friends for later. My siblings refused to speak to my ex, so there was that awkwardness. It was tense, but the party ultimately was a success. As much of a success as I could expect under the circumstances, considering 18 years old is not on speaking terms with his father. Let me preface example number 1 of why my ex is an idiot with. My cousin's son and my son are the same age. I'm very close with my cousin, and the boys are very close too. My cousin and his son are super into dirt baking. My son would love to be into too, but it's the one sport I've said no to. However, since the boys turned 13, I've allowed my cousin to take my son with his son for a yearly camping dirt biking trip every summer. They actually are planning to go next week. Anywho, to get to the point where my ex is an idiot, towards the end of the party, my ex presents my son his gift, a motorcycle. Yeah, a motorcycle. Of course, he bought one for himself as well. Son, I don't know what to say. Ex, I know you like a dirt biking, so I thought this would be cool. Son, this isn't a dirt bike and I don't have a motorcycle license. Ex, we can get you one. I'm leaving the state for college in a month. What I'm going to do with this? Maybe you can bring it to school? Freshmen can't have cars on campus in any way. Where will I keep it? My son might seem ungrateful here, but what happened next is he got really quiet and just walked away. This is not like him. He is a pleaser, very conflict avoidant. My ex was upset, asking what the fuck. My daughter, 16, much more combative than my son says. He knows. You're trying to bribe him, Dad. And she is right. This is what my ex does. Instead of doing what he needs to do to work on things, he will try to charm his way or bribe his way back into good graces with grand gestures. This time, it backfired. Example number 2 of why my ex is an idiot. As he's leaving from the party, I remind him he should make his flight reservations for when he moved my son into his dorm next month. He says, "Oh, I forgot to tell you. I can go. Something come up." Apparently, he's working on himself. He dropped therapy because it wasn't helping him and found a life coach instead. He booked a meditation retreat across the country for that week. I am so proud of myself because I didn't say a word in response. My spidey senses were piqued. I had a gut feeling he was hiding something. He told me he was going on his own to work on himself, to really focus on himself. But gut feeling was telling me something, and I wasn't going to question him because I've been working real hard at maintaining very low contact. I called Greg, OBS too, the next day to check in. I asked him if Megan was going away next month. Surprise, surprise! She's going away on a week-long meditation retreat. My ex thinks I'm an idiot, but he's the real idiot. I don't understand how he can think he can ever rebuild a relationship with his kids if he doesn't put the work into it. If it was me, I would be doing everything I could to prove myself to my kids. I'll be showing up always, even if I had to stay in the backgrounds to show them that no matter what, I will always be there, even they're pissed at me, not speaking to me. Even if I make mistakes, I will always fight for a relationship with my kids. My ex gets him a motorcycle, has a quick fix, when what he should be doing is showing up for major life events. Even if now, especially if it's difficult to do. It's frustrating to watch, but what I've learned in therapy is that my ex relationship with the kids is up to him to maintain, not me. I'm only responsible for my own relationship with them, but it's too hard to watch. Bye.